The Conversations with Malik podcast, coming to you from Long Island, New York. I'm glad to have you and thank you all who are listening and watching this show.
That's right.
This podcast is about the stories of transformation of regular people during the basic struggle and pain of life. Listen, everybody has a testimony. We all have survived the darkness. Now let's talk about how we got to the light so we can help our brothers and sisters who still haven't overcome their demons. But guess what?
Talk to me, my brother.
We all have devils on different levels. So through conversations like this, we use the tools of insight to light the path for hope.
That's right.
Let's have a chat and stop running from our issues. If we live through it, then talking about it probably ain't gonna kill us. And that's what we doing here. We're talking, we're crying, we're laughing and joking, but
right.
we're looking inward so we can grow outward is the theme of this show. The caterpillar transforming into the butterfly is the goal and purpose of this podcast. When you talk about you, I learn about me. Iron sharpens iron.
Steel sharpens steel.
So we can cut through the fog of despair into the hope of today. And listen, please don't forget to follow us at convoswithmalik.com, convoswithmalik.com. I'm here with my co-host, the most Jeff Joes.
That's right. Con W Malik too.
And we there, Instagram, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Like us, share
us, love us.
hit the bell, give a review. And thank you for the views. The views on YouTube is coming up. And listen, we're being consistent and we're here. And, this podcast has kind of like changed my life.
That's right, man. My life too.
Yeah. So
we feel like right now it's more of, we look at it as more as a job now.
Yes.
I mean, we did that before, but now we learn from all our guests too.
That's true. Learn most from them.
Yeah. Coming with some great stories.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's pretty much transparent here.
No doubt.
And that's what we like, man. We just gotta keep going. And what we up to, like, how many episodes already?
Listen, it's been a lot.
I lost track.
At one point, I was doing so many interviews, I was like, I didn't want to see this place. I was coming in, about to come in through that door. I was like, no, I'm going through first. Yeah, I mean, it was like, from, so listen, shout out to Kareem the Dream Raheem, the audio engineer who does a great job. We sound like just an official podcast like anybody else, Joe Rogan or whoever.
Right.
We sound just as
official,
good
man.
with the music. With Justin Moss, our social media manager. Shout out to you, Just. And everybody, everybody from Another Chance Media, AC for Inmates who sends us the interviews.
That's right.
All my prison guys, the guys who share their lives with us from the feds, my lifers. Shout out to all of y'all.
Shout out to co-host Mona too.
Yeah, co-host Mona. Yvonne Diva Dash, Dawn Michelle, Rhonda Supreme, Sharon, everybody who plays a part. Hannah Glinsky. Who sends us guests, man, and thinks about us and think we're worthy of interviewing their clients. We really appreciate it.
That's right.
And I had a couple of won't exaggerate. I had a PR person call me up today about possibly interviewing some of their guests, so that was kind of dope.
Dope. Our doors is always open for the right people.
Yeah. And we're here with my man Andrew from Gifted Floors. How you
That's
doing,
right.
Andrew?
Feeling good, man. God is good. I just gotta give thanks. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Woke up today, you know what I'm saying? So that's truly a blessing.
That's what I usually say too, right? Wake up.
You say you woke up. You do say that.
Make my salad and
He stole your line. on your show.
salad and tea.
Salad. Yo, you know what? Never mind, man. We're not even gonna get into his breakfast routine. They've heard it enough. And so it was funny because we was here and we was talking before the show, and we was talking about solace and pain.
Correct.
And you had said that people write easier from a place
Of pain.
of pain,
hurt.
whether it's songs or whatever it is.
Right.
Part of that is, and that's an important part of the process of growing spiritually,
Correct.
right? I ask a question. There's people who ask me to mentor. There's people who I spiritually mentor and things like that. And so I asked them to name 10 good things about themselves. That's the hardest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting there stuck. They get to about 4 and they're like, right? Check it out. I asked them to name like 10 of the most horrible things that's happened to you or 10 things you don't like. And they can just spit and go do it, right? I
They
mean,
probably named 20.
you gotta stop them. Like, okay, you're at 37. I get the point. When we're in our spiritual infancies and being, there's nothing wrong with that. When I say that, it's not a condescending thing. We can identify the bad because we haven't experienced the good enough, right? So as I grow up and have life experiences and learn to appreciate, so what I do is I write a gratitude list every day, right? When I learn how to be grateful for my life and have more experiences, then I can identify the happiness. So then that turns into, I can write books about overcoming spiritual. You know what I'm saying? I can write books about happiness. And I can flow with the happiness just as much as I can flow with the pain. And then it gets to the point where I can flow more with the happiness than I can with the pain, because that's what I'm experiencing.
Because of the result of you writing all that stuff.
As a result of my life.
Yeah.
But you get there first, but that's why I said I don't want to sound condescending.
Because it's one hand wash the other.
You only get there through being able to write.
Right.
So you gotta go through that.
I feel like for me, when I come across, people, especially because I work with youth in a juvenile detention center.
Oh wow.
So I always used to ask them in our circle ups, is what's your purpose? So when they ask what do you mean by that, I go like, what are you living for, or what are you working towards? Like, what's your purpose in life? And a lot of times we tend to forget what our purpose is because we're so focused on making sure bills is taken care of, the family is good, or just trying to maintain.
Yeah.
So a lot of times just trying to maintain doesn't equate to happiness. It just equates to surviving.
Yes.
So when you figure out your purpose, you probably wasn't complete until you started your podcast. Now you have a sense of completion in your life. This was one of your purpose.
Yes.
So now you have some sense of fulfillment. So when you do interviews and things like that, it might not feel like working. You're enjoying it because this was one of your purpose. And now you've got different avenues to where you can reach out to people and channel all your inner purposes and all your inner things of you and share with other people while people get to share themselves with you.
Yes.
So I feel like once people discover their purpose, then happiness becomes more than pain.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And I do agree that solace and pain is very key to growth, because there's so many times where even if we're the most outgoing people, the most, talkative people, sometimes we just might not feel like talking to anybody.
Yes.
So for me, if I always say writing saved my life, because sometimes I just don't want to talk to anybody.
Okay.
But I could talk to myself through my pen. And that's where writing helped me. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's approach might be different. But I feel like once people figure out or remember what their purpose is, then being happy starts to more seep into their daily lifestyle, because now they remember what they're working towards.
That's funny you said that, because you said talking. You don't really talk as much. You rather write it down. For me, it's the opposite. I like to talk more. And when I'm a little bit too quiet, I feel like I serve no purpose. So sometimes I try to find ways to kind of tone it down, but I just can't. I'll talk to a bum. I just can't.
That is true.
Be quiet.
That's very true.
But I sometimes feel you could be put in a place where people just don't want to hear you say anything. So what I do is I be a bit creative and try to make people laugh. They don't have to say nothing, just laugh. Laugh with me. So I'll create a joke, I'll be humorous or something like that. So what would you say to somebody that express themselves just by talking so much?
Personally, what I learned in this day and age now is that I would call that oversaturation, right? Where sometimes people like it and sometimes people don't. But I always say don't change who you are, because you never know what you might say might help somebody that day.
Right.
You understand? So not being who you are can affect other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even they might not want to hear you at that moment, but eventually they gonna want to hear you. So even if you feel like you oversaturate people with your information with who you are, they might not appreciate today, but tomorrow they gonna need it because they've been down. They need that laughter. They need that conversation. So there's nothing wrong with being talkative.
Yeah.
Because there's always gonna be people like that.
Yeah.
It's just some days some people might not need it, and then some days people will need it. So I feel like just being who you are is just always gonna be.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because somebody recently said to me, they said, I said, but I don't want to. I was talking to him. I said, but I don't want to be, too preachy and it seem like I'm always preaching to you. And they said, no, talk. You really like the only person I listen to. And I was just like, wow.
But you could tell when a person accepts.
Is receptive. Yeah.
Receptive.
Yeah, you could tell. So you work with juveniles.
Yeah, I work
in the juvenile detention center.
I work in Crossroads Detention Center in Brooklyn, Brownsville.
Wow.
So I just started this year.
Yeah, because I'm an alumni of Spofford.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a Spofford alumni, man.
Okay.
Yeah. I spent a lot of my teenage years in detention centers.
Yeah.
That's, that was my life. I mean, I would get out back in from DFY to Lincoln Hall, Lakeside, group homes, and people who work with children like how I was are very special people, man. So I really give you, my mother used to work in detention centers too. So, that's
takes a different character.
And not all of the people who work with the kids are good people. Some people are just there for a job.
There for the money.
But then there's people who are there that I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because recently, since I work overnight now.
Shout out to Mr. Jones.
Yes, shout out to Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones.
Ever since I started working overnight, I don't get to interact with my kids like that. So the other night, I was talking to them before they locked in, and one of my supervisors came on the hall, and she was like, why are they out? They supposed to be locked in.
Cause you was
but
there.
My inner, I didn't share it with her, but my inner me is I don't know who they're around during the day and during the afternoon, so I don't know if what they want to talk about is released.
Gotcha.
So even if it's 15 minutes,
let
me get my 15 minutes to keep them with some sense of sanity because they're locked in here all the time. You know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be for rehabilitation. And a lot of the kids I work with are AOs, which is 16 and 17, so they're on the cusp of being in the system or changing their life. So allow me to be me to help them. Cause I'm dealing with kids that got crimes from murder to attempt murder to robbery to kidnapping. Let me help in my way. You know what I'm saying? Cause a lot of these kids write or they do music or they do things that's in my alley where I know how to associate me growing up in the hood and associating my hood with my success to show them what y'all did isn't what makes you. You know what I'm saying? So let me help you. There's so many times I've seen these kids go on a phone call, get bad news that somebody from their hood passed,
and it's on and popping,
and then
they go back to their normal ways.
Oh, they cut somebody, or punch somebody in the face,
or what we talking about now is that they drown in the emotions, and they can't talk to anybody because they don't trust anybody, and then they might look for Andrew. Mr. Plumber. And sometimes I might be there, sometimes I might not be there just because I might not be on the hole. So now they look for me. If I could tell you since I've been there for the last few months, how many kids I had to counsel from a bad phone call. So they don't turn up on these other kids. Or so they don't turn up on themselves. So I'm there calming them down, trying to understand their pain, their loss, because everybody feels pain and loss differently.
Mm-hmm.
We all have lost people,
Mm-hmm.
and that pain always feels different.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I'll be like, sometimes if you can't talk to somebody, talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And what happens is, with a lot of them, what it really is, and I know this in hindsight, and hindsight is 2020. What it really is that something's happening in the family, and I'm going again, because a lot of them been in group homes and stuff since they was 13 and stuff, right? Or in foster care, separated from the family. So it's like, here I am, I'm not there. Not only is it the pain for grandma dying or Tyreek getting shot on Pickin and Sutter or, you know, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my friend is dead, but I'm in here. And let me tell you something. When you're away from everything and everybody, you can't process stuff correctly.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I came from a good home. From Queens. And I'm around some of the most ignorant. I mean, some of these kids are ignorant. Now, I'm not, you know, I know they're your babies and you, but look, some of them are ignorant, man, right? And so first of all, I'm in there around them, and they don't make, these kids, some of them have been, I mean, because we used to have groups, man. Some of these guys, you know, they were sucking their uncle's dicks. Who's drug at? No, I'm not trying to be, excuse me, you know, raped. Some of these kids out here that's murdering shit was molested, man, by their dope fiend uncle who's gay.
Mm-hmm.
Or they in foster care in the South Bronx, separated from everybody, and people prey on those kids, man. When you're a kid and you going from foster care house and you in Soundview Projects, next week you in Brevoort Projects, and the lady keeps you for a couple weeks, gets a couple checks, say she can't tolerate you no more, and you going from house to house.
House, yeah.
And you know what's going on in some of those houses?
I can imagine the females that's in foster care.
The girls, forget about what the girls. The girls are just going. So my mother used to have foster kids too, and so in the group homes, some of the places I was in was co-ed, and we would have groups and. But we had to talk about what we was going through and the stories I used to hear. I used to be like, damn. So this is what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And people like you are, you know, it's funny. God puts us, the people who I help, they don't understand that they're really helping me more than I'm helping them. They think like I'm so deep into this and that, and when people are assigned to me, it's because God wants me to learn something about me.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to, you know, whether he's teaching me patience, tolerance, acceptance, you know, unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? And so the people who get assigned to me and put in my life is like, I'm like, all right, God, what you trying to, universe, what you trying to, the ancestors, what you trying to show me about me? Because it's something I need to learn about me. Do you find that that's the case?
Yo, I feel like all the time. I feel like all the time. There's this one kid in particular. He's a rapper, and he said one day he put me to the side. He was like, "Yo, plumber, like, yeah, I do this music. I do this." So I said, "I." So I said, "I'm gonna look you up." So I went on YouTube when I got off. No, when I went on break, and I was like, "Yo,
he nasty.
This kid is nice."
Wow.
From the Bronx too. I said, "This kid is nice." And I said, I went back. I told him, I said, "Yo, I was listening to your stuff, and I was like, yo, you got so much potential. I'm so mad at you because you in here." And I said, "Yo, you the type that if I knew you outside, that I would keep you close to me."
Yeah.
Because I know that you don't see how big you can be.
And he doesn't know
it yet.
Potential.
He doesn't know it yet. And I said, you don't understand how big you could be.
But you gotta, I mean, for him to be that confident and be like, yo, I do this.
Yeah,
but isn't that all of our stories though?
It's fun. It's funny enough. Is
like
yes and
me
no.
and you and don't we kind of don't always know like that we can
We
be much
don't,
better
and
than
that's
what we
what,
are.
and that's what goes into the question that you asked is like talking to him. It reminded me of that untapped potential,
Ooh.
and then it reminds me like, yo, like there's still stuff I gotta get done for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm over here trying to push him, and I'm like, stay out of trouble, stay focused, cause
And that's what
you
you
can-
telling you.
you know
That's
what I'm
what you
saying?
should be telling
Because
yourself.
because at any point in time growing up, that could have been any one of us.
That's
If
true.
we made
That's true.
one wrong decision or getting caught and then somebody actually enforcing, the backlash behind it.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like,
Drew, but Drew, even now, right?
it's still
So brother Rashid used to say to me, in rest in pieces with the ancestors. He used to say, Malik, the most important person you need to listen to is who? And I say, what? He said, yourself. Learn how to listen to you when you talk. And I was like, I didn't get it until like we was at the repast, and then I was like, oh, I get what you saying, because I was talking to somebody, and what I was saying to them
the moment that clicked.
was what I needed to be saying to me. So look, yo man, if you could just stay focused, why? I need to stay focused.
Same scenario.
I need to stay out of trouble. We can get in trouble.
Right.
It ain't the same trouble they getting into. But I mean, what could be trouble? Like, I mean, look, trouble could be me doing stuff that I know ain't good for me. We all do stuff that's not good for us, whether it's eating those brownies over there or whatever it is, just being diverted. I'm going out with the fellas, I'm going to a strip club, I'm this and that. Yeah, I know I need to be home working on some shows and sending out emails and cleaning up. Right? But, and we all have character defects and flaws.
I mean, we're not perfect. We're not perfect.
So let me ask you something, Jeff. What has the pain that you've been through recently taught you the most about yourself?
It taught me, one thing it taught me is to listen. It taught me the fundamentals of it taught me the fundamentals of sustaining, a relationship. Like for instance, you put somebody in your life and you've been with that person. You have to make time. You have to make time to embrace what you guys both have. It taught me that sometimes.
You're talking about your personal, your marriage.
Yeah, it taught me how to, tell my queen that she's beautiful and do things not always just because, just to do it. That's what my.
Also, you're saying that you was able to see your divorce is showing you your own inadequacies and where you fell short.
Right.
As a husband and as a man.
Right.
And those would be the lessons that you took into the new relationship to never forget those things.
Right.
Well, you know what? Another woman will be the beneficiary of what one individual didn't get. No, and I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, that happens.
See, now I got a question though. For hearing you say, so I know there's a lot of times though, like when we're invested as individuals, whatever amount of years, months, whatever, time is an oxymoron to me, because you can know somebody for one day and feel like you know them forever, and you can know somebody for forever and feel like you don't know them at all. But my question to you guys are, when you feel like you lose that puzzle piece out of that puzzle and you are no longer whole, do you feel like sometimes we try to look for that missing puzzle piece to, within somebody else? Or do y'all kind of just allow somebody to gravitate to fit into that puzzle versus forcefully looking for that piece?
I think
after going through all that you went through.
So you talking about as far as relationships?
Correct, because I feel like a lot of
Like
times coming up.
intimate.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times coming up, when I went through a lot of heartbreak and pain and things like that, and I lost that person from my life, I lost a piece of me because I invested part of me within to that person. So when they left, a piece of me left as well. So now, do you go forcefully to look for a missing piece, or do you allow that missing piece to come back to your life through a different person?
I mean, I can answer that. There's phases to this. Sometimes you feel like you want to kind of go and find that piece with hopes that that piece have some kind of similarity to what you used to have, which is, I mean, that's impossible. And then you realize that, and then you step into another phase where you start kind of figuring out yourself, and you start thinking about more of what went wrong, what did you do that's wrong, and then you start to date yourself, because that's what I do. I date myself. When I date myself, I go out the other day, I was sitting in IHOP and I was eating by myself. I go shopping on my own. I went to the movies one time on my own. I started doing things on my own and trying to figure out, while I'm doing these things on my own, I try to figure out what's best for me and what's best for new endeavors.
Part of Solace.
And that goes back to that 360 of talking to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So now it might not be you writing down your thoughts, but you talk to yourself. You're giving yourself that self-counseling.
Because right now, it's simple for me. Because I took the time to do those things.
You went
exercises.
through therapy.
I went to therapy. Yeah. Thank God for good friends, Mike, you guys.
And that's not that, and that's rare for black men.
I'm thankful.
Go to a black man going to therapy?
I went to therapy, my brother, because I was losing my mind.
Black people in general, not just black men, black people.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm thankful too, because even before therapy, I have good friends, but my friends aren't therapists, so I gotta seek that outside person that's gonna be able to kind of
no bias.
And then we started the show. And that was like, God was like, I got something for you to do.
It's phases in this, man. Like when you've been with somebody for so long, because June 16 made it 17 years, me and my wife been married. We've been together for 26 years. Jesus. Now we've been apart for 3 years. And now I divorced. So which basically means that it's like, I've lost a lot, I've been through a lot, so I had to channel myself through those phases, just like a human being. And now I can say, Drew, that I know what's best for me. I know what I can incorporate, what I want to incorporate in my life moving forward.
And you found your purpose.
That's
right.
And so, Drew, for you, because before we close the interview, I want to talk to you about, were we gonna wait until after for him to do a poem?
Yeah, we could do that on the drop.
But let's talk to you about some of the things that you got going on and coming up. I want you to plug your social media links and things like that.
So my Instagram is Gifted Floors, and my Facebook is Andrew Plummer, and last 2 years, just been working on a lot of writing. I currently got a book out called Flawed Notes. You can find out on Amazon.
Flawed Notes.
Right now, I've just been writing recently a lot. Got a collaboration project coming hopefully soon with a couple other artists. Hopefully soon also I'll be working on some music as well. So I'm tapping into my pen deep, heavily this year.
Rapping?
Yeah, rapping. So
okay.
So
what's a poem? Maybe rapper.
Yeah.
That's a rapper right there.
Get some of the people that you know up, man, and we can have like a little poetry conversations with Malik with the poets.
Yeah, I'm tapping in.
We got a few that came on the show.
Got a few that come.
And then what else? I want to shout out a couple of my bros that I grew up with. Black owned businesses. You could follow them. No Life. on Instagram, no life, double underscore no life. Green and clean services, all organic cleaning products.
Really?
Yeah,
Yo,
better than bleach.
Yo, I would love to listen.
Yeah,
I
we
would
gonna
love
get
to
them on the
interview
show.
them, man. Listen,
No
and
life.
I'm gonna take the reins on this. We can't wait 6-7 months.
We got cleaning products all over.
We can't interview them in
products.
April
Oh,
of
so
2020.
They make their own products.
Yeah,
Really?
Cleaning products, green and clean. That's on IG, no life, double underscore no life. That's
I love
on
that.
IG. It's building strategies and motivation. We working on a lot. I be telling people
When y'all listen to the show, I want y'all to hit us up. We want you on the show.
Yeah,
Want to get you in ASAP.
We gonna get it more like me and my people, man. Like I surrounded myself with beasts. You know what I'm saying? All like-minded bosses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right now we coming to take over a lot. So when you see me, you see everybody else. When you see everybody else, you see me. So that's how we moving. So like this ain't even just for me right now. It's for the movement right now. We taking over. So
No doubt.
it's definitely Gifted Floors. That's me. Double underscore no life. That's strategies, daily motivation, and there's so many businesses intertwined in that. And then you got at Green and Clean, so, on IG as well, organic cleaning products. So once you follow me, you'll see everything else. So that's definitely.
Well, listen, I need some clean and clean products in here so I can clean these damn floors.
Oh,
You gotta get them on the show.
it's funny
Yo,
too.
and I would love to use black owned. Yo, I'm to the point
That's what we're
where
trying to support.
I'm like really spending my dollar with my people. I mean, I'm seeking out everything
Yes.
so I can send. And I don't want to hear black people don't know how to do business. People that say that, you don't know how to
That's a
do business.
fact. I mean, from time to time, they do screw us all
Well,
the time.
time to time,
But
other
look,
people's
but other people screw us too.
Yeah. Please. I'm a businessman. There's some people there's some Arabs that I wouldn't do business with no more.
That's a fact.
Chinese people, there's white people that I wouldn't do business with no more. Everybody doesn't know how to do business.
That's a
Everybody knows how to do business. If you don't think black people don't know how to do business, you need to read and subscribe to Black Enterprise Magazine.
That's right.
Matter of fact, that should be our Bible. That magazine and some other ones. Y'all ain't paying me, so I can keep mentioning them. But you need to really. Black people are doing their thing.
If y'all want to sponsor.
Well, yeah. If
I
y'all
mean,
want
the sisters is doing their thing too. I
sisters,
like that.
brothers,
sisters.
young people.
Young
It's young
sisters.
people
Yeah.
that's
we
creating
starting to
acts
change.
and all
We
kinds
starting
of
to
stuff.
change. We starting to change the world. Like I be telling you.
We always change the world. We Africans.
I be telling my kids that we are innovators.
That's right.
And people, the power to be, whoever it is, be trying to suppress us because they know we have so much power to change.
That's right.
And I was having this conversation last night, no kidding, and I was telling this lady at my job, I said, a lot of times why we won't be great is because a lot of people aren't willing to die for what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when I'm thinking Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, civil rights time. And I feel like once the desire, the hunger to die for what you believe in, like is reinforced back into our values, and I feel like not until then, like collectively, like as a movement, like we won't be the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like once we get that desire, that hunger, where we want to succeed as much as we want to breathe,
Yeah.
I feel like until then, collectively, we won't be as great as what we're supposed to.
Well, in order for us to get that, again, that means a lot of the opportunities that me and you have. So be careful what you ask for. You just might get it.
That's right.
So a lot of the opportunities, there were a lot of us that died. There were hundreds and thousands of Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's that got buried in the swamps of Louisiana, right? That stood up when it wasn't popular to stand up, and it wasn't a bunch of people around, and they got lynched and burnt and castrated. It was dozens and hundreds of them, and they'll never get written about in anything, right? That's how we got to where we are, because slavery became too hard because we rebelled every step of the way.
Right.
From IIT to Florida, to Dominican Republic, it was like these people keep resisting. So the narrative that we surrendered and was broken, that's not true. We always resisted. So that's why we're here, because of we always revolted. Now, if we want to get to where you want us to get to, that means that me owning multiple businesses like I do, and all of the nice stuff that you're doing, you got to get to a place where you're deprived, where you're willing to do that. So if that's what we want, that means that we're going to have a president one day that's going to set back laws and opportunities, and we're going to get that hungry to where we'll be willing to go to those lengths. We're not that hungry because it's not that hard.
Right.
Okay? So just be very careful about what you desire. And I know what you're saying, but what you desire for our people, maybe we have to do it in a different way. Because, like, you know, this is a military that, you know, they would actually make decisions that it would be very, you know what I mean? So we could do it another way, like LeBron James school, our schools, the businesses that you're doing. You know, we can influence our people through. I've taught a lot of people how to make money, and have empowered a lot of people by them being around me. So you are Malcolm, you are Martin. Why? Because the people you're doing, and I really, really see the walk, and we're going to end with this. The walk is really an individual walk, Andrew, right? And Malcolm and Martin, they get highlighted, right? For good reason. They did the ultimate sacrifice. They gave their lives. A lot of people gave their lives and not getting books and holidays. But I personally know people in my personal life that gave their life in a way where they did so much more for others than they personally had.
Definitely, yeah.
So the walk of a revolutionary is really an individual walk that is not going to be a lot of accolades and a lot of, you know, nobody throws a parade for you when you come out talking to you don't get a parade when you come out in the morning, because it's not about the parades. It's about you being able to sit inwardly, find joy, happiness, and peace, knowing that the spirit of altruism exists in me, that I give to others without looking for anything in return. As a result, I'm blessed, and I make a difference because I'm Andrew. And the world is better because of me. And it's really not some big parade thing.
As much as we would want it to be, but it's not.
It's not.
It's that slow and steady.
And then the people who you affect, there might be a kid that opens the door one day for you, 40 years from now, who you had a talk with his grandfather in that penitentiary. And some of the words you said was part of the chiseling away at his brokenness. It's not totally you. It's your conversations, and there's some other conversations, but it's part of, right, the totality. And then, as a result of people like Andrew who chiseled away at the fabric of his toughness, he turns around and does some great things with his life. And then he has a child. And that child, so he might be the grandchild of somebody you're talking to. And that child might be able to go to an Ivy League school, whatever, have their education paid for. And they open the door for you. Hey, you say, oh, thank you. He said, no, thank you. And you never know that was because of that conversation in the Brooklyn jail.
I think it's funny. I think Pac said it best. I might not be the person to change the world, but I might be the person to influence that person who will.
And everybody does in their little ways. It's no, and that's the, you know, that we grow up. Listen, my mother was a pastor. We grew up, Jesus is coming back. There's no, like, this one person that's just gonna. And that's why I can't be a pastor, because I just don't believe that in my heart of hearts. I just don't believe that. That's why I dropped out of it. I just don't believe that it's just one Jesus. It's just the, I think that we all have our Jesus moments, that the parables of the Africans and the ancestors, that those stories were parables for us to live by. That's it. So, with that, conversations with Malik, gifted floors, we got deep. You brought out the best of me.
That's right.
Because, that's what people do. And I'm a better person as a result of having Andrew up here.
That's right.
And check him out. And listen, we end the show like we normally do. You know, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
That's right.